Hello, Fallen Dragonite here again, and we are going back to some Let's Paint. It's been a while since I've done one of these, but today we will be looking at two miniatures from the Midknight Heroes line. We're going to be looking at Midknight version 2, and, well, this goes over here, and Dark Midknight from their Villains Kickstarter. Now then, I've followed Midknight Heroes for a while. I am not sponsored by them or anything, but I am friends with the guy on Facebook, so... Anyway, there is a Kickstarter for... No, not Kickstarter. There is a Patreon going on right now for Midknight Heroes, where for $5 you get basically monthly discounts and the ability to vote on what the next miniature is, whereas if you go up to their higher tiers, they'll actually ship you a box of miniatures. So... something you might want to look into if you're really into the chibi scene. But for now, we are going to start painting these two, and they're fairly similar in their appearance. It's just that this one's evil and this one's good. The original version of Midknight was actually just nothing more than a metal bikini, but this one's more heavily armored, so it's going to be a lot easier to paint because then we don't have to worry about all the skin details. Same with this, it is a lot more armored than the original, and for first off, we're going to be starting by painting the hair in some regal blue. Like so. It's going to take a few coats. As you can see, the gray primer's going through. And I'm going to take some sterling silver paint, and I'm going to paint Midknight entirely in sterling silver. So once I'm done coating Midknight and Dark Midknight in their respective colors, we'll get back to them and we'll see where we go from there. Okay, as you can see, we have a nice little metallic sheen on Midknight here. I also took the liberty to use some pearl white metallic paint to trim out the edge of her blade a bit. I also did the same to Dark Midknight here. I trimmed her blade in white, metallic pearl white, and I also did some metallic on her blade there. Now then, the next step is that we are going to take some nightshade and we are going to go over the models with it. Now then, with Dark Midknight, we are going to go very heavy on the shading with her. Not on the blade though, but on the armor itself, very heavy on the shading. Whereas with Midknight herself, we're going to go just very lightly on the shading, just to get into the little cracks here and there, but not to ruin the overall metallic sheen of it. Just enough to bring up the details. So once we're done with that, we'll get to the next step. Okay, you can see we got nice highlighting on Midknight there. Sorry, I didn't have it on camera. I'm off to the side of my camera, not behind it, so it's hard to see. And we got a very dark shading on Dark Midknight. I also took some Regal Blue, a little on my brush, and just dry brushed it while the ink was still wet to try to get some blending into the shading. And I also inked her shield. It's still drying over here off camera. But for the next few parts, we're going to start picking out some of the details. We're going to go over some of the areas where the suit is under the armor and go over with some pavement. Same with Dark Midknight here. I'm also going to pick out the skull here in some ivory and shade it in with some Earthshade. I'm going to do the same with her shield. It's going to be a very delicate process because they're very tiny areas. Kind of hard to see on camera, but it's around the legs, the torso, the arms, on both of them. So it's something we're going to have to do off camera just because of all the detail work. So we'll cut back to that when we're done. Okay. So we got the bone detail on there. I also painted the brown on her belt and on her belt and gloves and her boots, the gold and brown on her shield and sheath and sword, and did all of that before shading in the Earthshade ink. Want to make sure that all the stuff that needed to be shaded was on there before I shaded. See, I got the skull in her kneecap, skull in the chest, belts, and the shield skull is fully painted, and the brown glove on the back. You're probably wondering why I didn't glue the shield onto Dark Midnight. It's because I wouldn't be able to paint the arm otherwise. Now then, where did it go? There it is. Gonna shake my container of peach, and we're gonna start with this. We're gonna go on to the skin portion. It's gonna take a few coats of the skin tone to get around to full coverage, but they both have the same skin tone, so it's gonna be about the same. I'm also going to go back with the Regal Blue to get her lipstick, the mark under her eye, and the glowing effects in both the skull on her chest and the skull on the shield. And after I'm done with the skin, I'm going to go with some gold sunset on Midnight's hair, and then highlight it with some orange. So once we're done with that, we'll go on to the next step. As you can see, we got that skin tone down. We got the light blue highlights on the lip and under the eye, as well as the glowing effect on the chest and kneecap there. Same with the shield. And we got Midnight with her skin on, and you can see the orange tone that we added to the hair is still drying on this, but you can see that's turned out quite nicely. Now then, for the next step, we're going to be taking a look at the eyes. And wait, that's not it. Okay. I have black over here. What we're going to do is highlight the eyelash area with black. Then we're going to fill it in with some white. Then we're going to paint the iris with Regal Blue for her and Golden Sunset for her. And I'm probably going to use a little bit of Earthshade on the iris. And then we're going to paint in the pupil with black, and then put in a little bit of a shine with white. And I'm also going to paint the base in black as well. So once we are done with painting the eyes and base, I'll clear coat these, glue her shield on, and we'll take a look at the final product. Okay, we are all done. You can see I clear coated these, painted up the bases and the eyes. I also forgot to add the little mark underneath Midnight's cheek, and I added a little pink to her lip so it stands out better. But now with it clear coated and all painted up, that looks really nice. And of course I did glue on Dark Midnight's shield. Unfortunately, some of the paint did come off when I was trying to position it with the glue on. But yeah, that looks really nice, doesn't it? Anyway, While we're here, I have a few other projects I want to show you. So, here is a little arcade machine from Capsule Chibi. No, this is not playable like with the other mini arcade machines I've had on this channel before, except for the Lego ones. I painted this one up to look like the House of the Dead machine. I could say this is like a light gun-based aim machine, I would say. See, it's just about to scale with these little things. Now then, I do have a few other characters I want to show off, because this is something I've been wanting to show off for a while on camera, but I've only ever shown them on pictures on Twitter. So let's take a look at some of the YouTube characters I've made so far, starting off with Markiplier. Yeah, he has the pink mustache and everything, and little tiny box Tim on the base. Kind of hard to sculpt, but I mean, sculpt the tiny box Tim on there. The rest was pretty basic. This was a miniature from Ninja All-Stars that I just customized. It had a full beard. I just trimmed off the beard and just made a giant bushy mustache and added the hair details. Let's try another one, which I actually just finished last week. Jacksepticeye! Top of the morning to you, laddies! This is a miniature from Hyper Miniatures that I customized. It's actually based off the main character from Sword Art Online. Sculpted in the septic eye on his base. Had to file down all of his hair on the back to give it that shaved down look. And then sculpt in the details. And the beard's just painted on. And then, something more Transformers related, MGO's mascot. This is actually another one of Midnight Heroes sculpts that I've completely customized. Basically, it was one of their skeleton miniatures. I took the sword, made it into his club, and then sculpted on all these bits and bobs to make him look like his bionicle self, even to the point where I had to sculpt his whole head in myself. All in all, I still think I did a pretty good job on mascot there. And these three are very special because they all have a similar gimmick. First off, Jack the NPC from Saskorkowski's channel. Made him black and white because Jack, regardless of which universe he's in, is always black and white. Also on the Lovecraftian scale is Lucille from Don't Stop Thinking's channel when he did his Call of Cthulhu campaign. And Nick Nocturne from Midknight, this is basically a displacer kit. I just cut off the third set of legs and just painted in both sets of his eyes. Oh, sorry. And Setsworkowski, he is the gangster sculpt from Impact Miniatures, and this was the flapper sculpt from Impact Miniatures. I did some modifications for the hair on Lucille, as well as a few changes to the outfit. And Jack here, I didn't really do any customization whatsoever. Now then, you're probably wondering what their gimmick is. I have a little UV light here, and as you can see, there's a little elder sign on his base there. Same with Lucille. She also has an elder sign on her base done in UV paint, as well as her eyes glow. I actually used yellow UV light for the eye, then painted over with some purple to give her that eye change gimmick that I wanted to do, because her eyes did change color in the videos. And then, of course, Nick Nocturne. His eyes glow. The ends of his tentacles glow. The ears glowing is not intentional. It's just that the pink that I used does pick up the UV light, but it was a really nice touch I did with this. Anyway, that's my Let's Paint on Midnight 2.0 and Dark Midnight. And, well, showing off some of my other YouTube-themed characters that I've sculpted. I do hope to have more sometime in the future, but we'll see what sculpts come around that I can actually draw inspiration from for more YouTube-based minis. Anyway, I hope to see you guys again next video. Bye!